If you all had a choice between starting a herd with lowline or Aberdeen Angus heifers, or Corriente heifers, or the South Pole bull, which would you go with? You're saying between those three?
I'll say this:
lowline Aberdeen Angus, or Corriente.
I would say like to breed with a South Pole. Is that what you're saying?
And then South Pole bull paired with that.
Paired with either of those three.
One of those three.
I think it completely depends on your situation. You know, like Corrientes are going to really help you out if you're really dry.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have a lot of forage. Low lines are super efficient on grass, but you want to make sure you have a good market for the beef, because if you try to sell, even if you're selling culls, if you sell to the sale barn, you're not gonna get any kind of profit from it. But if you've got the low lines and you've got this grass fed beef market, and you can supply it, and you can sell all your extra beef that you're raising. Why not? They're super efficient. The smaller the animal, it's the same way with the sheep. Why the sheep are way more efficient than the cattle per head, because it takes a lot less forage to raise them, and they calve a lot easier on just grass.
Lamb.
No, I'm talking the low ones.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the sheep. The low ones, and then what was the other one? Aberdeen Angus.
Yeah, which I think it's just like a more heritage breed of Angus. I think the Aberdeen is from Europe.
I would just I don't know anything about it, but I would make sure that it's not big.
Yeah.
And by big, I mean like mature weight of
over 1,200 cow.
As a cow, you don't want. I mean, 1,200 would be the absolute max. You'd want it. It'd be nice if it could be 11,000. That'd be perfect. And a small frame South Pole bull, because that's the thing that people don't understand sometimes about South Poles is like Greg's South Pole herd, like he is all about that small frame size on his bulls and his cows and whatever, but it's not like a trait of the South Pole breed in and of itself. Like there are some South Poles that are massive. Like, I mean, maybe not as big as like an Angus or
2,000 pounds,
but like 2,000 pounds, big bulls, big mature bulls, and so it's like you just have to be careful as far as like any sort of when you're getting into like any sort of like breeding or seed stock or whatever. Like you should always be looking for moderate to small frame, max mature cow size of 1,200 pounds.
800 to 1,200 pounds is like the range sweet spot you want to be in.
If you get smaller than 800,
closer to 1,000 is ideal.
Yeah, if you get smaller to 800, then you run into the problems with that you were talking about, where like if you better be selling like direct to market beef, or like just selling grass-fed beef, and that's your deal. Because if you're trying to sell, whatever to the sale barn to
even any capacity, stock,
even for breeding stock, it's too small.
It's not a lot of people are sold on the fact that they're that efficient on grass. They are. And they're excellent animals, but as the majority of people are not looking to buy them.
And like, does it like you'd have to really do the analytics to figure out like, okay, the fact is its increase in efficiency on grass, the fact that it matures at 600 pounds or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah,
just probably. Throw a number out, but like matures at 600 pounds, like versus 1,000, like is that 400 pound difference? Like, is the efficiency make up for that 400 pound difference, because you're going to get less meat per animal. You know what I mean? So like, can you actually run whatever that is, that 400 pounds, you have to do the math, like 600 to 1,000, like that. So that 40% reduction in carcass size, are you going to be able to run over 40% more animals? You see what I'm saying? Like 40% more animals on your farm to make up for that loss in like meat per acre that you're selling
of animals per
animal or if it's seed stock, like to be able to make up for that 40% loss in, or no, it wouldn't be it'd be gain, but like I guess it's like you just have to do the math to figure out,
make sure it's
like it actually is making sense economically to do that. But
anyway, as far as forage efficient, they are.
Yeah, but the original point though is like 800 to 1,200 is the range, and you don't want to go either. I mean, if you can get closer to that sweet spot of 1,000, like that's where you really want to be.
So that's what I would say. Low lines, if you've got all the grass fed beef sold, if that's your market. With the Aberdeen Angus, make sure they're right there around 1,000 pounds. I mean,
I don't know anything about Aberdeen Angus.
If they're up more towards even like the higher end, like 1,200, and you find a small frame South Pole bull, you're going to be able to bring that down in a couple of generations.
Yeah, it would only take you
when you're talking 14, 1,600 pound cows. I mean, now that's when you're talking a long time to get your herd size down to where you want to be. So, and then the Corrientes.
Yeah.
If you're in an arid climate,
or it's
hot, and there's not a lot of forage, and you kind of have to push your cattle, Corrientes are excellent cattle for that.
The thing to remember, that I'll say this is the last parting word for that question, is the closer you can buy to your idyllic animal, right? So in frame size, in like body composition, like the whole 9 yards in that regard, the closer you can buy to quality at the beginning, the faster you're going to be able to develop something that's super successful on your piece of land. The more work you have to do at reducing frame size, filling them out, putting weight on them, taking horns off, like that kind of stuff, the longer it's going to take. And, 2-3 years per generation, if you're talking 3 generations, you're talking like almost 10 years of time, right? So like, just keep that in mind, like if you have the money, like buying the best stuff that you possibly can from the beginning, you're going to save yourself so much time and headache. Mm-hmm. So something to think about.